Today is the day. Today we crown the champion of the 23-24 F1 Sim Racing World Championship. The trophies are here. The excitement and nerves are high. And we cannot wait to get into it. Freddie Rasmussen comes into the day leading the championship, but Thomas Ronhaar and Barry Burman are hot on his heels and remain in contention. Abu Dhabi awaits. Let's start the show.
Dominated the first event here. Thomas Ronhaar wins the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Freddie Rasmussen, 13 races now. Unlucky number, maybe for some, not for the Great Dane. From centre they go, wheel to wheel, they make contact, but it's Alfie Butcher, a debut victory. The two-time champion rises once again. It's 10 race wins for Jarno off here. Coming through the final few corners for the second time here in Belgium, it's Barry Burman who takes a sensational victory. Double Dutch Grand Prix delight. The Great Dane scores a second victory of the season. One powerful Great Dane get around the final corner. It's a magical number 3 from Freddie Rasmussen. He wins the United States Grand Prix. Thomas Ronhaar, he hails in event 3. It's victory here in Mexico City. He's going to go back to back. It's a triple dream for Thomas Ronhaar. He wins the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. In comes now Barry Burman. They rolled the dice. It's Barry Burman, your victor. This affects championships, the front end and the back end of things, as now it's Ferrari delight again.
Hello and welcome to the final day of Event 3 and the final day of the championship. I'm Ariana Bravo and I'm joined by a wonderful team. Hayden Gullis, George Morgan and Marcel Kiefer. We're ready, aren't we? We are ready for this.
Certainly so. 3 drivers all fighting out for the Drivers' Championship, all from different teams and have never won this championship before. So it's going to be very exciting. I
don't think any of us were expecting when we came into Event 3 that we would have 3 drivers in contention as we head into the final race. But here we are, and it's close.
It's very close. And bear in mind, 2 of the protagonists were also in the fight for last season's championship. If you want to talk about the result for last season, Freddie won last season's race at Yas Marina. Who came second? Thomas Ronhaar.
Oh, I can't wait. Marcel?
It will be magical. That's all I can say, honestly. This season has been wild. We had a very strong start from Kick F1 and Thomas Ronhaar. And it looked like he can kind of just hold on to it until we had Netherlands and Koja, and that's when Freddie just took the championship to himself, and also Red Bull. They looked unbeatable, and now we saw the fight back from Thomas. 2 race wins from Barry and Ferrari, and now everything turned around. So we have Red Bull actually in P2, Ferrari looking set to actually maybe secure the title today, and we still have a chance from Barry and Ronhaar to also clinch the driver's title. So yeah, we are in for a great day.
We are indeed. We've seen a real swing of things over the last couple of days in Event 3. And that swing has gone against Freddie and really in the favour of his title contenders. Ferrari especially. I mean, yesterday was sublime for them.
Yeah, a great performance from Ferrari. They came into the day 30 points behind Red Bull. I think they were 3rd in the Constructors' Championship. And then at the end of it, they are 40 points clear of Red Bull Racing leading the Constructors' Championship. So they had a day of dreams yesterday. And that's just been the way this event has gone. The first day went Thomas Ronhaar's way fully, won those both races. And then day 2 has been Barry Burman's. But who knows? Maybe Rasmussen has been saving it all till the last day and he's kind of come out and clinched that title.
Well, exactly that. Today could be Freddie's day. Let's have a little look at how things went down yesterday.
Here we go then, George. This is what happened yesterday at Las Vegas, wasn't it? Up the inside, we had straight away the Ferrari getting the job done to take the lead of the race with Nicolas Longuet, and then all slotting in behind. And that was a nice way to kind of start off this Las Vegas race. We were expecting a lot of chaos, but that didn't really come into fruition until those final couple of laps.
No, I tell you what, it was a very, I would say, a quiet start. A lot of it was swapping for the lead. We saw plenty going on between the 2 Ferraris. Ulas Gilderim as well, part of it too. Blakely was following on in behind, but the chaos really, truly erupted after the initial stint. As soon as the stops were made, that was when the strategies unfolded. We saw a couple of rarities. Jake Benham opting to go onto the soft tyres. Quite relatively early on as well. It was quite a strange one on his part, but again, focusing back to the front. Barry Brumand looking strong. Ronhaar came back in, but Ferrari managed this race, Hayden.
Yeah, it was a brilliant strategy from this sort of moment onwards. They're chopping and changing positions. They're just trying to work together at this stage, but Ronhaar, it's vital for him that he only has one of the Ferraris ahead of him. Now he takes the lead at the moment. This is where it sort of all came undone. You know, Thomas Ronhaar, unfortunately, had to use all his battery to try and defend against the Ferrari, but that straight was just so long that he was unable to do so. And using up all his battery, Nicolas Longe was able to hold on to some of it and then blitz past him. You can see the rear light flashing. And then across the line, Jarno Opmeer just pipped him by 0.03 of a second, and then they all kind of came together with Lucas Blakely being unfortunate, but he did manage to cross the line, so he did manage still to score, I think, 9th position and a couple of points.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about Ferrari passion. They would be on the front row again, this time with Barry Brumand. Alongside him, Thomas Ronhaar. And Tom Manley got a great launch in behind as well. Actually went into the back end of Thomas Ronhaar and hoped to get a draft, but obviously favoured going around the outside. Manley was kind of boxed in, but Brumand trying to tackle Thomas Ronhaar from the get-go. Ronhaar running quite wide at the apex there. We then saw Longe trying to get past Josh Ito. A little bit of contact between here and the Red Bull. Very nearly wing damage. Yeah,
very lucky, and that would have really changed the outcome of this race, because the reason why, of course, Barry was able to take that race win was because of his teammate, you know, working so well together. Tom Manley, though, had a fantastic, you know, first initial start to the race. He managed to work his way up into the lead, got overtaken then once the soft tyres stopped working for him, and then made contact with the back of Barry's Ferrari, spun round. Thomas Ronhaar very lucky that the car ghosted when it did, otherwise he could have been out. This was a situation that developed Aston Martin trying to play the team game. We were speaking yesterday of Fabrizio Donoso not really working for him because the gaps were still within 1 second, but he actually did it very nicely, because what he did was allow the others to burn their battery, so there was no chance for anyone outside of the top 5 to really have that opportunity to go for the overtake, and this was just great strategy from Ferrari. I love an amazing overtake, but I love racing intelligence, and that was incredible from Ferrari. Nicolas Longe would just hold off 0.8 of a second, then utilise the DRS. They had much better aero for straight line speed, so the kickstart was never able to overtake them down the straight, and they just played the team game perfectly, blocking Thomas Ronhaar, and he was unable to break through.
Yeah, we saw a couple of warnings come up for Thomas Ronhaar with track limits. He had 2 warnings under his name coming in towards the final laps. As we now made our way towards the start-finish line, Ferrari would seal the deal on a second back-to-back as well, 1-2, which has never been done before in the history of F1 sim racing. So a massive achievement for the Scuderia Ferraris.
Indeed, and after all of that action, this is how the driver standings look. Talk us through it, guys.
Yeah, so Frederick Rasmussen, he still leads the way, but that deficit has come down. It's 13 points now to Thomas Ronhaar, and then 16 to Barry Brumand. All 3 of those have a chance to take the title today at Yas Marina. Jarno Opmeer, unfortunately, will not make it a 3-time champion, so we are definitely guaranteed a brand new champion today. He's in 4th place. Nicolas Longe had a fantastic event yesterday. He'll be looking to try and help out his teammate once again, but he's up to 5th place and does have the opportunity to take 4th position away from Jarno. Alfie Butcher, what a debut season from the Haas driver. 6th place with him. He got that race win early on in the season in Austria. 81 points to his name. Lucas Blakely, the reigning champion, will have to hand that over today to somebody new, and he'll be looking to forget about this season and look forward to the next one. Another great rookie, Ismail Fassi, 8th position at the moment. Brendan Lee, 2-time champion in 9th, with Josh Ito in the Red Bull rounding out the top 10 on 37 points. Then it's the 2 Mercedes drivers, Daniel Beresnay and Jake Benham. Daniel Beresnay is in the car today, so we won't see Jake driving at all. Alvaro Caraton in 13th. The 2 AlphaTauris impressing, 14th, 15th, getting some good results so far this season. Simon Weigang, that race in Qatar was vital for his season and also for Aston Martin's. There was also a strong performance from Ulas Ozildirim in Las Vegas. He moves himself up into 19th position. And there's the Alpine of Ruben Pedreno in 20th place. Then at the back end of the field, Fabrizio Donoso on 3 points, Patrick Sipos and Danny Moreno on 2. And then we've got Presneda, John Evans and Will Lewis yet to score.
Yeah, and obviously yesterday's dramatics played a huge role in the current layout of the constructors' standings. 237 points for the Ferrari team after going back-to-back twice, and now they are considerably ahead of Oracle Red Bull Sim Racing. They have now got 2 hands, or 1 hand, should I say, at least, on the trophy. Will they make it 2 come the end of the day? It looks likely. Further down, Kick F1 Sim Racing, Ronhaar putting in some good performances, now on 192. They could yet beat Red Bull to 2nd place in the team's championship. Remember, prize money on offer for each stage of the positioning on the championship ladder. And looking further down, we've got a huge fight brewing between Haas, McLaren and Williams.
Thank you very much, guys. Well, that swing is crazy. When you see that constructors' standings table and you see that gap that Ferrari have opened up incredible work from them yesterday. Let's go into how this all breaks down in terms of prize money. George, you mentioned the prize money there. As you can see on the screen, $18,000 for first place, $14,000 for second place, $12,000 for third. And as you can see, it's worth it all the way down. Even if you're not winning, you're still getting a little pretty package in your bank account. But of course, we want to win. We want to crown a champion today. That's what really matters. And when we look at the team championship as well, all 10 teams do get money, but first place, $125,000. This means so much to the teams, the things that they can do with that money to continue pushing forward and hopefully working towards another championship next year. That is how the prize pool breaks down. Let's have a little look at the point system. Very similar to F1, points awarded for the top 10 finishers, starting at 25 points, working all the way down to 10th place with 1 point. A point is also awarded for the fastest lap, providing you finish in the top 10. And unlike F1, there is also a precious point for pole position. Here is the schedule today, starting a little bit later because we've only got the one race. We are racing in Abu Dhabi, 2 p.m, which is now. You're with us already. And then at 5 p.m. for the race kickoff. Lots to do. Lots to get through, lots of action. Marcel, Abu Dhabi we visit today. Talk us through this track, what we should be looking out for.
I think we will see a lot of overtaking opportunities, especially because the cars can follow each other a lot. We were not expecting a great race in Qatar because of the nature of the track, but this track, you have actually a lot of straights. You have also good slow speed braking zones, which you need to go for a move. And there's a variety of different lines. We've also seen it in real F1 between Max and Lewis in the championship fight in 2021. And I think we can expect similar things. And aside from that, there will be team games going to happen today. Like, for sure, I think Red Bull are going to look into it. Ferrari's probably also going to look into it. And Kick F1 as well. But at the same time, Kick and Red Bull, they are so close in points. They need to finish as a collective ahead. And I know how strong especially Josh is on this track. This is one of his best tracks. I think Austria, Imola, and also Yas Marina are like Josh's best tracks. He's such a natural on there. I think he was actually on pole in 2022. I'm not sure. Yeah. That was his second pole. His first one was in Imola. So I'm expecting big things from him.
Okay, well, we'll keep an eye out on that. Let's have a little look at the points progression between our top 3 contenders as the season has unfolded, because it's really interesting to see the chop and changing here, but ultimately them all ending on a high.
Yeah, it's interesting to note that Frederick Rasmussen has scored in every single round of this season, but for the other drivers, they've had their little moments. You know, look at Thomas Ronhaar from round 4 to round 7, 5 points scored in 4 races, but was able to have a really strong start to event 3, and he's pulled himself back in. Also, look at Barry. You know, he really struggled at the start. You know, it took him ages to get off the mark, really. He got those 11 points in the first round, but didn't get a win until round 5. And then since then, bar round 9, he had that incident in Brazil, and obviously not the great qualifying because of the weather. But apart from that, he's really been on the charge. And just look at how he's come back into this championship fight. It's been incredible.
He has absolutely bounced back. But look at the dominance of Freddie there from round 6, just earning those points. But let's also look at the driver stats, have a bit more of a breakdown on each driver. George and Marcel, what stands out to you here?
Well, I think for me, just look at the wins. 3 wins for all 3 drivers. In terms of the podiums, it's mainly around Ronhaar and Buremand, whereas Rasmussen has been scoring points in every round. Ronhaar and Buremand have relied on the quality of certain results against those that they've lost out on. In terms of poles, it's between the Ferrari and the Kick, F1 Sauber, and then further down, if you look at the points themselves, 160 going towards Freddie Rasmussen. Still decent gaps in between the drivers, 13 between Rasmussen and Ronhaar. Then you've got 16 then between Barry and Rasmussen himself. But Marcel, it just goes to show how tight it really is.
Yeah, it really is. And you could also see that Freddie has actually less poles and also less podiums, but he was always there this whole season. He scored every single round. And Barry had, I think, 3 races without any points. Thomas nearly as well. He had 1 point in one of the races, and then he had 2 races in a row with 0 points, whilst Freddie was actually winning these toes. So it actually shows also with the pole stats. In my opinion, Frederick was not the fastest this year. This is the first year where he didn't look like very untouchable in terms of pace. But he's just like growing more and more as a driver. He's way more mature than the previous years, and it just shows like he knows how to deal with the championship. Yeah.
Yeah. End of point there. That's it. That's what Marcel's got for us. Guys, thank you so much. We are about to go qualifying in Abu Dhabi. A gorgeous track, a special one. It's going to be exciting. Let's have a look at what we have in store in Abu Dhabi.
In he comes. So as they cross the line, it will be Barry Burman at the head of all the action here.
If you would tell me that you will finish like P3, I would still sign it and take it. But right now we finish P1, P2. We are back in the Constructor Championship fight.
They rolled the dice. It's Barry Burman, your victor here at Vegas. And it's Longe who takes P2, Ferrari 1-2, and Jarno Opmeer moves into third.
On the last lap, I unfortunately made a slight mistake in the last corner of sector 2, which eventually lost me 2 tenths. It may not look like it on stream, but certainly I climbed the curb.
Thanks to Nico, I got my win as well. He did much more than what I did in the race.
In that lead field, his teammate Longe keeping Ronhar at bay. Further back, Jarno Opmeer.
Ronhar drain all of his battery and drop into second place.
Didn't have any ERS left after the final corner, so I had no deployment the whole way through pretty much. That's why I got not even a P2, a P3 even. I got P4 in the end by 3,000, so.
This Constructors' Championship is back on.
So Abu Dhabi being the last race of the season, anything can happen. You can expect the unexpected, basically.
It's pedal to the metal, and it is go, 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 go.
Yeah, so Abu Dhabi is, in my opinion, my most favorite track to drive on. This event, in terms of pace, in terms of confidence, and the consistency I have, can't wait.
But Lucas Blakely, take a bow, you're champion of 2022 for the first time ever.
Abu Dhabi is a particularly strong track for us. I wouldn't say it's our best, but it's obviously still good for us. Hopefully bring both cars always at the top, because that's how you score good points.
I genuinely don't know what word I can say to explain how I am feeling right now.
Well, there is only one way to settle it. 11 rounds in, this is number 12. Welcome to Yas Island, everybody. We are here for the Formula One Sim Racing Abu Dhabi Grand Prix qualifying session. And after experiencing only 3 visits to this circuit in the history of Formula One Sim Racing, 3 different race winners, Freddie Rasmussen taking it last season. It was back in 2022, where his teammate Josh Edu would also take pole position leading into the event. Josh Edo will be looking to try and maybe strike the same imposition on the rest of the field again this time around, and it would help out Freddie a great deal. But we're going to be back under the lights, much like we were at Qatar, this time though at Abu Dhabi. Further on, as we take a look at the circuit itself, 5.281 kilometers, that's 3.281 miles, 16 turns lay in wait, with a slight undulation change happening through the first sector, but it flattens out heading through sector 2 in towards sector 3. 2 DRS zones to be aware of coming out of turn 5, and then of course you have the DRS zone heading down the straight out of turns 7 and 8. But qualifying now already in full swing. Your commentators, of course, myself, George Morgan, joining me once again, Hayden Gullis, and we've arrived, Hayden. It's been a long journey. We are here in event 3, the last round in event 3. One more to go.
What a roller coaster we have been on this season. You know, drivers rising, they're falling, and it's all coming down to this finale here in Abu Dhabi. The sun is setting in qualifying, and it's setting on our season as well. Who is going to be on pole position and take that vital point? You know, if one of the Ferrari drivers takes it, that's really going to help them in the Constructors' Championship. They only really need to score 3 points over the event today, and they will be crowned champion. Getting a pole position point today is really going to help that, but it's up to these guys in the Red Bull to make sure they put themselves at the front and try to give themselves the best shot in the race later on. And then we've spoken about it. Marcel made a great point. Josh Edu, very strong around here last time in 2022. He's got the opportunity to fight at the front and try and take that point. A lot of drivers just bailing into the pit lane now, doing their installation laps to make sure all of their equipment is working in a good order. And of course, if anyone wants to complete a lap as well, they have that delta time just to give themselves a bit of a mental boost to prepare for that flying lap that they do later on the soft tyres. But it can be a bit of a deficit sometimes, because if you get into that rhythm of driving on inters, obviously they're not as fast as the soft tyres. You can't brake as late on the inters, you can't carry as much speed through the corners because they're just going to overheat. So you don't want to get in a rhythm of learning how to drive on intermediate tyres before jumping onto the softs. And for some of them, they might just be slightly out of that groove for that first lap and then have to go again for a second lap. Here's Danny Beresne on some intermediate tyres. He is currently on a fast lap. So let's ride on board with a slow lap from Danny Beresne. This was going to be nowhere near good enough, of course, to get himself into Q2. But let's see what this is all about.
Yeah, heading through the next left-hander. He's going to be in Sector 3 proper. He's in fact in it now as he beckons his way in towards the final few bends through this very fast-paced one, then straight on the brakes as you make your way towards the bridge. What's the scenes of where we saw 2021 unfold? Hopefully we don't get anything like that today, as now we see Beresne coming through the final couple of corners, through towards turns 15 and 16, keeping it nice and tight. So on the intermediate tyres, this will not necessarily be a lap that will be necessarily accurate to what we'll eventually see at the end of Q1, but just getting that installation lap in, so imperative in your preparation for when you do unleash the power of the soft tyres later on. Of course, the grip levels will be greatly enhanced. Patrick Sheepost going second fastest for that 1:26.754. But in terms of qualifying yesterday, we did get a little concerned that the frailties were showing on Freddie Rasmussen's cause, of course, because we went back to Losail. He was outside the top 10, starting in P13, managed to fight his way up the field. What I could argue is that was probably one of his most impressive race performances, and also at Vegas, where despite qualifying in the top 10, he dropped down through the field, was behind two Alpines, but still fought back to score points.
Yeah, Red Bull were not happy with Aston Martin and their tactics yesterday. Obviously, this man right here, Fabrizio Donoso, was trying to help Simon Weigang score as many points as possible. And we said it, and I spoke about it already today, that we didn't think that he was doing a good enough job because the gaps weren't as large compared to when Ulas Zilderim did it for Alfie Butcher in Austria and got, Alfie, I think, like a 4 second lead in that race, which pretty much solidified himself as the victor in that race. Whereas that didn't happen for Fabrizio. So I was saying, he's not done a great job here. It's not really worked out. But I take it all back. He allowed everyone to drain their batteries, trying to get past him. And then when they got to the back of Simon Weigand's car, they just had nothing to fight with anymore to be able to go for that overtake, because you don't necessarily want to run the lower rings around Qatar. You want to really try and sort yourself out through the corners and give yourself the best ability there. But in doing so, was sort of tripping up the Red Bull drivers. Josh Eder was never able to pass him. He was right at the front at the beginning of that race, and that's why Red Bull were not happy with those tactics. But what it did do is allow Frederick Rasmussen to get back up through the field and score some very good positions and some very important points for his championship to keep it alive and put himself in the hot seat and be 13 points clear of his closest rival.
Yeah, and we want to talk about the likes of Freddie Rasmussen as well, for many reasons. There are several milestones that could be met this time around. Obviously, he has gone without a championship, despite being runner-up over the last 3 seasons. But if he achieves at least 8 points today, he will break the 1,000 career point milestone. And that is far beyond anybody else who's achieved points. Jarno Opmeer stands today on 750. That is the closest to Freddie Rasmussen's total right now. Freddie currently standing on 992 in terms of career championship points. And Barry Brumand as well, currently on 391. He could achieve 400 by the end of the day today. So regardless, a little bit of extra flavour to add to this championship fight.
Certainly so. And for Freddie, all he needs to do today is get a podium. Now, that sounds simple enough. And he has been Mr. Consistent. But this grid is so close together that securing that podium is still going to be difficult, especially as everyone's got something to fight for in this championship. Or they're going to be trying to help out their teammate. I'm looking at Brendan Lee potentially working together to try and help Thomas Ronhart win this championship. But they've also got to consider the Constructors' Championship as well. They're in a fight with Red Bull. So if they sacrifice Brendan to help Thomas for the Drivers' Championship, that might hinder them and allow Red Bull to take the Constructors if Josh Edu is having a good race and they kind of forget about him. So there's a lot on the line. There's a lot, obviously with the team championship as well, you get more money for that one. So that is the more important one. The drivers, of course, yes, okay, you get a bit of prize money now for the Drivers' Championship, but you also have that pride. You have that ego of being able to call yourself a champion of F1 sim racing. And that is what, well, I believe 2 of these drivers won. I'm not too sure about Frederick Rasmussen. I keep on talking about it, and maybe I'm completely wrong. If he does win it, I'd like to ask him about it and, how much does it mean to him? But I've always seen him as a driver who loves to fight for the team's championship and one of the greatest team players for any of the other drivers in F1 sim racing. And I think Red Bull are, very, very lucky to have such a consistent and incredible driver in their ranks. But in terms of really fighting for that championship, he gave up the finale once. He was going to sit out of it in Brazil, I believe, to help Red Bull win the Constructors' Championship and sort of, evenly spread out the duties for all the drivers practicing on those tracks in that final event. And in the end, because he was in the fight for the championship, they said, no, you will drive. And he just didn't have that preparation that maybe some of the other drivers had. And that's why he lost out on that Drivers' Championship for that season. But it'd be interesting to see how this goes for Freddie. And if he can put it on pole, then that will surely prove me wrong, because he will get one more point for himself. But he needs to go and drive at the maximum today if he wants to try and secure the Drivers' and Constructors' Championship for Red Bull Racing, because 40 points is a huge deficit. Ferrari haven't just got one hand on the trophy. They've got,
one and a half.
One and a half. Maybe it's just one finger left to
one little
finger
finger.
the trophy. That's all they've got. But we've seen it change drastically across event 3 so far. Potentially, it could happen today. It's never a certainty in F1 sim racing.
No, there definitely isn't, Hayden. You're absolutely spot on. As we now see the cars head through and out again, we've got nearly all of them out on outlaps. We've still got Thomas Ronhart in the pits. Brendan Lee, though part of the Kick Sauber F1 team, he's making his way out. We've got Pedreño as Yildirim. Blakely coming out as well. He needs to bounce back, at least end on a high, because McLaren have had their struggles this season. Certainly a team that I suppose has been quite underwhelming to watch this campaign, and I think obviously they've got a lot of work to do to correct things for next season. Obviously, much like real life F1, we do see silly season creep in, with drivers now maybe thinking about what they're going to be doing next year. Certainly if they're not in any championship fights, they might be thinking about feathering their nests elsewhere. Who knows? I mean, that is generally the consensus. There's Wilson Hughes, fellow Scot, to that of Lucas Blakely, also his teammate, as the team, all dressed in papaya, make their way around the final sector. Berejnay still at the top of the standings right now, but bear in mind the top 3 times that have been listed, the only 3 times that have been listed, have been done on intermediate tyres. Now we've got the softs on the cars. It's Wilson Hughes first. Take us through it, Hayden.
Here we go, on board with the Scotsman in the papaya McLaren through the first corner, nice and tight on the apex. Let the car run out wide, but do be careful of the track limits. Now flat out through the left and the right. Keep it nice and tight on the inside as you maximise your cornering speed through there. Now get yourself ready for the hairpin, where Max Verstappen famously overtook Lewis Hamilton in 2021 to take the championship there. Wilson Hughes nice through that hairpin. DRS open, now prepare yourself for the braking zone into the chicane. The track moves slightly left because of a car park on the outside of the circuit, and then you get yourself lined up over the curbs. You want the curb in the middle of the car, and you want your wheels either side of the curb as you prepare for the braking zone of that chicane. Nice exit there from Wilson Hughes. There's a lot of off-camber corners around this circuit, so it's very easy to get that understeer and dragged out wide, but then also on the throttle to lose the rear end. Now fast-paced double left-hand corner. Keep it nice and tight all the way through, back on the throttle, and let the car flow out wide to really keep the speed up through that corner. Now into this tricky section. All these corners are slightly off camber, bar that one, but the rest of them are off camber corners. So the car just wants to understeer. It's very easy just to, run wide and lose it on track limits, especially that corner there, because it's deceiving with where the white line and the runoff paint is. But it's nice and tidy so far from Wilson Hughes through the final corner, back on the throttle, use all the track available, cross the line, and so far it's a 1:21.6.
Yeah. Time to the top for Wilson Hughes. Instantly, though, taken away by Barry Brumand and Nicholas Longue going second fastest. In comes Josh Ido, back at Yas Marina, splits the Ferraris. And I must say, does perform well here. Danny Berejnay goes above him too, so the track improving time on time. Blakely now third fastest. In comes Tom Manley, who had a difficult day yesterday, goes 7th quickest for AlphaTauri. Ismail Fassi as well, also having a very difficult event in comparison to event 2, but back into P3 this time with a 1:21.393. Here comes Freddie Rasmussen. He goes third fastest, ahead of Fassi. In comes Caraton, who's invalidated his run, so not an easy stint at all for Alvaro Caraton. Here comes Jarno Opmeer now as well, coming through the final corner, up towards the line in the Mercedes, only enough for 12th fastest. That's going to put the pressure on a little bit, certainly as the time starts to drain downwards, and Brendan Lee just above him in 13th. In comes Thomas Ronhart, title challenger to that of Freddie Rasmussen, and goes fastest in the initial with a 1:21.280. Kicking on here in the initial point of Q1.
They've laid down the gauntlet here in qualifying, and that is a strong performance from all three of our title protagonists, all at the top. And you know what? I think they might be comfortable enough to retire from this session and, you know, get that benefit of that extra set of brand new soft tyres later on in Q3. This is really going to come down to the wire, isn't it? Between these three guys, they are absolutely driving flat out, and it is great for us to see all of them fighting at the front, because that is what we want. All three of them fighting at the front come race day later on, and see who takes this championship. But of course, we have that vital and very important championship point that is up for grabs right here, right now in qualifying. We have to navigate first through Q1 and Q2. The top 15 will progress into Q2, and then after that, at the end of Q2, the top 10 will progress into the pole position shootout for Q3. At the moment in the drop zone, we've got two-time champion Jarno Opmeer, who's under pressure. Brendan Lee's also just above that bubble, but then it's Tom Manley, Fabrizio Donoso, Wilson Hughes, who we rode on board with, and of course Alvaro Carreton, who invalidated his soft tyre lap. So they're all under pressure, but I think from everybody from about maybe Fassi downwards is also going to be under pressure, because you've got Jed Norgrove there in the 0.4s. I'm not too sure whether he is going to be safe. So everybody else is going to have to go again, but I won't be surprised if Thomas Ronhaar, Barry Borremund, Daniel Bresnay and Fredrik Rasmussen all retire from this session and go for Q2.
Phenomenal lap there from Thomas Ronhaar. I mean, despite obviously only it being the initial runs, if you have a look at the deltas, I mean, he's still 58 thousandths faster than Barry Borremund and faster than Freddie Rasmussen by around 89 thousandths of a second, which is incredible. In fact, if you look through the order, only the top four are within the same tenth of a second. And then just outside that is Ismail Fassi in P5. And both, as we say that, Ronhaar and Borremund do retire from the session. Bresnay stays in, as does Rasmussen. I just think in this situation, Hayden, given the fact it's the last day, they don't really want to take too many chances.
You don't want to take too many chances, but if you look at the gap between those guys at the moment, you know, all the way down to P16, it is 3 tenths, over 3 tenths between Thomas Ronhaar and Jarno Opmeer. Now, we've spoken before, yes, there's every chance that Jarno Opmeer can pull out a lap, even Alvaro Carreton down 20th, to pull out a lap that would be good enough for fastest in this session. But can 16 drivers do that? Very, very unlikely. So it's a great opportunity now for those guys to save that set of soft tyres and give them the maximum chance to fight for that pole position point, because that's what they're looking at the moment. But of course, you are right. It is important to make sure you don't get knocked out at this stage of the qualifying. Yes, okay, overtaking is easier here than it was at Qatar, but you don't want to have to do that work. You want to do what Thomas Ronhaar and Barry have done so far this season. Be at the front, work together, stay within that top 3, and then fight it out right at the end of the race.
Yeah, certainly do. Nicolas Longuet will be hoping to improve in order to bump himself up into the top 10. Well and truly, another positive performance from Jed Norgrove, I just want to say. Tends to qualify exceptionally well. The one-lap pace is brilliant. What he tends to do, qualify high, and defend relentlessly. That is generally his game plan. We saw it back at Bahrain. It's been a consistent theme. Has had his moments of misfortune, but as a driver, someone we didn't expect to feature on the grid this season, a little bit against the grain of how teams operate in terms of bringing drivers in and into their roster. But Norgrove impressing nonetheless, and arguably better than some of his teammates.
Certainly so, and for the Red Bull family, they'll be hoping he has a strong qualifying performance so he can potentially help out Fredrik Rasmussen. Now, they never claim that there's a working relationship between those two teams, and you know, I'm not saying that there is necessarily those two teams working together and saying you will do this for the Red Bull team, but what I am saying is when you are fighting for a championship, it's not only important to get the results, but it's also very important to make friends amongst the rest of the grid, because at the end of the day, if you're having to overtake people, if they don't like you, they don't have to let you through. But for Jed Norgrove, if he's good friends with Fredrik Rasmussen, he can go, no, I have no problem with not defending this position. I'll let you go through it. And I also have no problem defending the rest of the grid. They can make that own decision as drivers. So it's very important now for these guys around the grid, when they're fighting for this championship, to go make friends with the rest of them. Danny Bresnay and Fredrik Rasmussen will be in the pit, so they will not run again. Neither will Ismail Fassi. So it's up to the rest of them to make sure they don't get knocked out in Q1. Very important for this driver right here, Nicolas Longuet, because he needs to be at the front, and it's very important for the Ferrari team to steal this Constructors' Championship, that they are both at the front fighting for it, but then to also help out Barry like he has done so far this season. Let's ride on board then for this Q1 lap. He's currently up on his Delta time through turns 2 and turns free, flat out through those ones. And he's going to get the car over to the right-hand side to prepare for this braking zone into this long hairpin. Slightly up on the delta as he goes into the corner. Can he maximize the exit? No, a slightly weaker exit compared to his previous lap. Much better on the entry, but lost a little bit of time coming out of the corner. Now it will be important to really get this chicane right. Watch how he gets the car over the curb with both tyres. No, he decides not to do what Wilson Hughes did on this previous lap. Instead, takes it more cautiously, uses that tarmac, and now uses both sides of the curb on the exit. Slight improvement on the lap time, 0.08 of a second up so far on his lap. And he's going to keep it tight to the left and get back over to the right-hand side, and he goes purple through sector 2. Nice and tight through this long left-hander. Let the car run out wide and prepare yourself as you go into this technical sector 3 under the hotel. Brake hard into that corner, let the car flow through. A little bit of on-camber that's going to help you out. Now it's the off-camber section, so you have to be so careful not to understeer. That looks fantastic from Nicholas Longuet. He's up by 0.2 of a second. This could be a good enough time to put him right at the top of the board.
You could see it. It could be the case that both Ferraris could make their way to the front end, and indeed he goes second fastest ahead of Barry Brumand as well. Lucas Blakely going into fourth for McLaren. A very good lap indeed. In comes Jed Norgrove. We were bigging him up just now. He improves slightly to seventh fastest. Now across the line, Alfie Butcher moves into third. John Evans up into the top 10 and in ninth. Tom Manley only enough for 11th. That's risky. He's down to 12th already, as now we see more cars coming across. Donoso is out of qualifying. Oz Yildirim up to second. Haas in second and fourth right now. Jarno Opmeer now in the drop zone. Out to the drop zone for now in 14th. Caraton on the cusp. He's right on the bubble, but now he's out. Brendan Lee going 15th fastest and just makes it through to Q2.
Joshido as well with a fantastic lap right at the end to get 6th position, and that actually relegates, I believe, Brendan Lee, yes, out of the top 15. So Brendan Lee dropped down. He got a great lap right at the end there, but just behind him was Josh, and he just about pipped him there to move himself up. And yeah, very close for Brendan Lee to just about scrape out of Q1. That's very important for the other teams, especially Red Bull Racing and also Ferrari, because they've got 2 drivers into Q2 at the moment. For Kick, though, they've only got 1 driver that is going to be looking to help and fight in the race later on. So what strategy now does Brendan Lee do? It's going to be very difficult for him to score points from down there. This is a track that you will be able to overtake on, so he potentially can work his way back up. But does he play that teammate game to try and help out Ronhaar? You know, so far, Kick have been in this fight with Thomas Ronhaar's points. Brendan Lee has scored some good points so far this season, but nothing compared to what Thomas Ronhaar has done. So they could put all their eggs in that basket and use Brendan Lee and kind of sacrifice him to try and get the best for the team in both of the championships. Of course, they're going to be hunting down that 2nd position.
Yeah, they certainly will. Now, we can catch the mood in the paddock. Claire Cottingham is standing by.
I'm indeed rather alongside Brendan Lee. Brendan, not exactly what you wanted for the last race of the season. I appreciate that. What can you do from there?
Oh, we can do quite a lot. I think I have a really good race pace. To be honest, yeah, I'm just going to be completely honest and transparent with everyone. We had basically lost like 5 days of preparation behind the scenes because of technical problems and stuff not being sorted in time. So Abu Dhabi, I basically was not able to do any practice on efficiently. So of course the race pace is always better than the qualifying pace. But to be honest, where we wasn't qualifying was quite an achievement considering the preparations levels we did. Quite literally, I was only able to get a setup halfway sorted the night before leaving, actually. So yeah, again, story of the season. What can I say?
Still lots of chance though for your teammate. Obviously, I know it's like a teammate thing at the moment. Thomas Ronhaar maybe winning the championship today. What can you do to protect him?
Well, I think that's a really great question. I think a lot of people are speculating on social media, but us at Kick, us at Sauber, we're a team, we're fair. We're ultimately not going to be doing something disgusting and despicable and not going to be racing in a way that would be tainting the way of the series. Ultimately, yes, I will do my best to support Thomas. I will do my best to support the team, and the team will do the best to support Thomas, and Thomas will do the best to support the team as well. But ultimately, we're not going to resort to underhand tactics that people may be speculating because, to be honest, we have actually some pride in what we do.
Great. Brendan, unfortunately not for you today, but let's see how your teammate does with the second part of qualifying underway.
Yes, thank you very much, Claire. And indeed, words of honesty there on part of Brendan Lee. And it's great to hear as well that not only the teammate ethic, but also the sport ethic as well. You know, we're still going to do things the right way. It's not just about helping Thomas out by any means possible. They want to do it the right way, the honest way, because there's, I suppose, in many ways, the saying is true, no honor amongst thieves.
I mean, there's still an honest way to do it. And I think what he's speculating with the social media is a lot of people are suggesting that Brendan Lee's just going to drive into Frederick Rasmussen or into Barry Bromand. And that certainly is not the case. We know Brendan very well. He would never go and purposely drive into somebody to try and help someone else in the championship. But as a teammate game, you could play something like Ulas or Zildwim did. I don't think there was any bad tactics in what they did in Austria. You know, they played it very, very well. They held up the drivers behind, but they weren't dirty in what they were doing. They weren't forcing drivers off. They were just using their battery in the right places, so they were unable to be overtaken down the straights, held up slightly through the corners because of the deficit between the two tyres, and then eventually the drivers broke past him, and once they had done, Ulas pulled into the pit lane and was like, okay, I've done my job, now it's up to you, Alfie, to bring it home. And that could be potentially something that we see from Brendan Lee later on. Not a case of driving people off the track, because we know he's not like that, but a case of putting his car in the right positions, and very much like Sergio Perez did in real life in Abu Dhabi in 2021. Potentially something like that we could certainly see. We're watching on board now Ismail Fassi, and this will certainly be on a set of used soft tyres. Even though he saved them, you know, he retired from that Q1 session, this will be on a used set of tyres and he'll save those fresh softs for the end of Q2.
Yeah, coming through the final few corners now. In the Williams, Fassi having a very good event too, and lit things up, that's for sure. Back-to-back podiums, in fact, making his way around Jeddah and Austria. And now up towards the line, this time at Abu Dhabi. Sets the 1:21.522. No doubt the used tyres on the cars at this point. Fellow rookie Tom Manley invalidating through that final bend. And Lucas Blakely invalidating as well. So it's catching a few drivers out here, Hayden.
It is a difficult circuit, especially this corner right here. Look at how the Kick Sauber car was right on the white line from Thomas Ronhaar. He puts himself into the 21.7s. Must have either been a mistake there. He's certainly on used tyres, but I think that might also have been a mistake, as John Evans has gone faster than Thomas Ronhaar. How often do we say that? As Josh Edu's joined back into the session, I didn't know that he got removed from it, but luckily he is back into the session. He'll be able to take over his car and still be able to get into those vital laps later on. This is Freddie Rasmussen. He is also invalidated on his lap. That is not something that he's going to want to do, because he needs to be in that Q3 position in order to fight for third position to get that Drivers' Championship, but also to try and get that point in qualifying to help his cause.
Yeah. Certainly doesn't want to show the cracks too early where it comes to racing here around Abu Dhabi, with so much on the line. And invalidating that first run here in Q2 is certainly less than ideal. Getting through the final sector now Freddie Rasmussen will proceed. He'll then make his way into the pit lane, no doubt, and get set to do another run. Still very early on. They've still got 10 minutes and 24, enough for at least another two runs essentially around this track. But it might be the case that the used tyres are going to be a little bit more used come the next time around. You never know. Freddie might go round again if he conserves the energy. No, coming straight into the pit. Well, that was bold. That was brave, and very nearly carnage.
Could you imagine a Red Bull and an AlphaTauri coming together in qualifying, and it ruins all of Freddie's chances of going for the championship? So close. Look at these two. Look at these two. Always out together. You cannot separate them, whether they're in the cars or out of the cars. Great friends, Nicolas Longuet and Barry Bromand. And out on track, they're going to be trying to now go and put themselves in a good position to get into Q3. Of course, no team tactics in qualifying. You're not allowed to slipstream off each other. They used to do it a few seasons ago, where people would time their laps. They would exit the pit lane to be able to give a slipstream to the driver in front. Then once that driver in front's completed, or the driver behind completes their lap after they've overtaken using the slipstream, then they would give the slipstream to their teammates to try and work together. And then it was a gentleman's agreement, because everyone was kind of blocking each other, and it was nasty behaviour in terms of qualifying. And so the gentleman's agreement came out to not do this. So Ferrari might be going out together now, but they will separate ready for their laps in qualifying, and there will be no slipstream and no games to try and benefit each other in qualifying. It's up to the driver themselves to go and put in the best lap without any other outside elements coming into it.
Yeah. Second run now for Ismail Fassi as well, who just makes his way out of the pit lane. All the drivers pretty much, bar John Evans and Thomas Ronhaar, now out on circuit. And Nicolas Longuet, who was very much pulling off the teamwork yesterday for teammate Barry Bromand. We saw the relationship and how much it burns bright within the Ferrari team. They came and joined us at the desk when we were analysing the race, analysing the championship results as well. And they truly are united here this season. And they'll be hoping that they can take home the coveted team's crown by the end of the day. We'll have to wait and see. But Nicholas Longay, first and foremost, needs to set an initial lap. 8 minutes to go. He'll have enough for 2 here around Yas Marina, but needs to be wary of those pesky track limits.
Yeah, he'll need to try and do what Barry did in the first part of qualifying, put himself right at the front early on, do a good enough lap time so that you don't need to run again in Q2. If you can do that, that's going to be a great start for Ferrari as they go into Q3, because they have a lot of fresh soft tyres to be able to play with in that session. Nicholas Longay runs wide straight away, and you can see the frustration on his face. He's going to have to go again. He's going to have to go again right at the end of the session and use a brand new set of soft tyres. So he's not going to have the benefit that his teammate has in this qualifying session. Let's switch over to his teammate. He is yet to invalidate. So let's ride on board instead with the Ferrari of Barry Broman. Third in the championship, trying to hunt down Freddie Rasmussen. And let's see what he has got in his locker. DRS now wide open as his battery is in hot lap mode. And he will be trying to utilise that to his best possible ability to get right up at the front in this qualifying session. Nice and tidy through the first apex, and then clip the second one. Be careful on the throttle, because it's so easy for the car to kind of slip away from you. And it's so easy around the circuit also to get those track limit warnings. Look at this runoff area that you have. You have 2 painted white lines with the blue in the middle, and look at how much they're using all of the circuit. They're trying to open up the corners as much as possible to give themselves the maximum top speed that they can carry through the corners. Now in towards the hotel section. Onto the brakes, use the camber, clip the apex on the inside, and now this is a difficult section where you can very easily invalidate. He's very cautious with the first part of track limits, but riding on that second part of the corner into the final section now, onto the brakes where the pit lane line starts, through the final corner, doesn't run out wide, doesn't invalidate, and it's a good enough time for a 21.1.
Barry Broman going fastest of anybody now with a 1:21.181, I should say. Danny Berejnay second fastest as well, just ahead of Ismail Fassi. Ulas Yildirim pops himself into third. Patrick Schipos into fourth for Alpine. Good signs from them as now Alfie Butcher looks to join them. Haas now 3 and 4 with Butcher and Yildirim occupying. Shall we say, when we get into Q3, that will be the second row of the grid. But here for now, in Q2, it's safety. In comes Jarno Opmeer up towards the line. He progresses up to 5th. Josh Edo up to 7th. Ismail Fassi now up to 5th, surpassing Jarno Opmeer. Jed Norgrove again, decent lap up to 7th. Freddie Rasmussen responds after the invalidation, back with a 1:21.161, and on top of the timing screen, Thomas Ronhaar now also coming around, but he's invalidated his lap. Incredible. Thomas Ronhaar invalidating his lap, and now that leaves him one last chance to dance in order to get himself out of Q2.
Ronhaar in trouble, but good thing he saved a set of tyres in Q1 there, who will definitely be able to go again and still have that advantage if he does get into Q3 of having a good set of tyres for that session as well. But Fredrik Rasmussen, as we said, invalidated and right back at the front, as you have alluded to. Barry Broman, though, he has been very consistent. Both sessions so far in a good position. The times are very close. If you look down towards 10th position, it is a 10th of a second that separate those 10 drivers. It would be very risky for Fredrik Rasmussen and Barry Broman to retire from this session and go straight into Q3. But we did see that from Jarno Opmeer yesterday, where it didn't look that safe. He didn't look that comfortable, but yet he was still able to survive and get himself into the next session. So let's watch and see what Fredrik Rasmussen and Barry do. But one person that will definitely have to go again is Thomas Ronhaar. Now, we have seen it before. Spa last season in 2022 invalidated every single time bar his final lap in each session and was able to take pole position that day. So still don't count him out. But could he be now starting to feel the pressure of a chance at the championship?
Well, he needs to leave his best to last now, Hayden. He's got no other choice here in Q2 now, so it's got to be now or never for Thomas Ronhaar. And he's not alone, because Nicholas Longay has got exactly the same situation in front of him, as does Lucas Blakely, because both of those drivers have yet to even set a time here at this point. Blakely currently sat in his rig. I'm looking in the corner at this stage, and no movement here out on track as far as he's concerned, but just waiting pensively to head out. So we've got one current champion currently in the drop zone, occupying that 15th place. Nicolas Longuet looking to take the team's title down in 14th. Thomas Ronhaar looking to take the driver's title this season in 13th. Josh Ido, pole position sitter last year at this very circuit. Patrick Schipos with a great chance to enhance Alpine's point situation if he can get himself into the top 10.
Yeah, Alpine will need to score a lot today if they want to jump off the bottom and overtake Aston Martin after that very strong performance that Simon Weigang showed. There's the Ferrari drivers. Nicolas Longuet, of course, invalidating very early on in that Q2 lap. Will certainly have to go again, but Barry looking comfortable at the moment. His lap time could be good enough, but will he retire from the session and will he risk it? Looks like there is a bit of movement in the Ferrari garage, and it does look like both drivers are going out onto the circuit. So no one's taking it easy at the moment. They all want to go to it. Frederick Rasmussen, we look over to there, and yes, Freddie is also going to be going out in this session. So all the drivers, none of them feel like they're safe, and we're going to get a shootout now to try and get into that top 10.
Yeah, both Ferraris out straight away as well, once again in tandem, and they're joined by Danny Berejnay, Jed Norgrove, as well as the Red Bull. I did see a lot of movement from Josh Ido as well in his garage, but hasn't yet been released. So we'll wait and see. Blakely out on track and coming in at the very last moment. He is out now. So Ido has made his way out. Just needed to update on our screens as we now see Schipos also out on track. So every car now out, ready for qualifying. Thomas Ronhaar just leaving the pit lane alike as well. So here we have now got every single driver looking to land their best times on the board. Freddie Rasmussen currently at the top of the standing right now, 121, 161, currently 200s faster than Barry Brumand in second. Further back, Danny Berejnay in that 121.207. A whole thousandth separates he and Alfie Butcher, with Yas Marina in behind. I tell you what, has to have been impressive, Hayden.
They really have. The last couple of days, you know, I've spoken a lot about Alfie Butcher being very strong in qualifying, but still gathering that experience in the races. And he proved me wrong at the start of Event 3 with a 4th and a 2nd in those races. Okay, yesterday didn't necessarily go to plan for him. Was kind of caught up in the middle of things, but that's just the way sometimes this championship goes. If you're in the middle, it's sometimes a bit of pot luck trying to put yourself in the right position. But Yas Marina, now he hasn't had those finest performances compared to Alfie Butcher, but played a fantastic team game in Austria, sacrificed himself, but then had a great race in Las Vegas to score some really valuable points for Haas in their battle with McLaren and Williams. So let's see what they can do in this qualifying session. Someone else who has impressed me so far this season in qualifying has been Daniel Berejnay. Now, he has had a pole position so far this season. Can he do it again? As we ride on board with Nicolas Longuet under pressure in this Q2 session, invalidated on his first lap. Please, Nicolas, do not do that again. Right on the white line. He is not leaving anything on the table, though. He's going all for it. And that is what we love to see. Half a tenth up at the moment as he goes through the first couple of corners. Braking hard at the 15-meter board into this long left-hand hairpin. Nice exit, and it's a 10th improvement. Slightly worse exit compared to his previous lap as he's losing a small amount of time on the Delta as he goes down in towards this chicane. Get the car slightly over to the left. He's not going to use the curb like we've seen other drivers do. Then use it slightly as he goes under braking, but gains a lot of time there under the brakes. Back on the throttle. Good exit from Nicolas Longuet. I think it's completely matched his previous exit on his last lap. It's pretty much the same, but it's just shy of a 10.5 improvement so far from the Ferrari driver. He's going to be the first driver to complete a lap. Keep it nice and tight all the way through this long hairpin. Now he's still gaining time more and more throughout this session. Let's see what he can do as he goes underneath the hotel. Hard on the brakes, keep it nice and tight on the apex. Up 2.5 tenths now improvement. And don't run it wide. Don't throw it away just now, Nicolas Longuet. He nails that last little sector there. Still 2 tenths up on his previous lap time. And let's see if he can put himself up near the top.
Checkered flag has come down here in Q2. Nicolas Longuet looking to rise above and does rise above. Goes to the top with that 121.040. His teammate joins him in second place. Danny Berejnay moves up to third. Rasmussen currently down to fourth. In comes the AlphaTauri of Jed Norgrove. Does not improve. Yas Marina. He now remains in seventh. John Evans up to fourth place. A great lap from him. Lucas Blakely yet to set a time. He now moves up to seventh place. Ishmael Fassi up to eighth fastest. Up
might not be safe. Jarno Opmeer, the Flying Dutchman, returns again. He's right on the bubble in 10th place. Will he be eliminated? Freddie Rasmussen into 4th, into Patrick Schipos. He's out of qualifying, and Thomas Ronhaar, has he made it? Has he made it? 6th fastest, Jarno Opmeer out of qualifying.
Look at the front of the order, though. 2 Ferraris, 2 Red Bulls. They're going in tandem at the moment, and they are all going for this Constructors' Championship between the two teams. Things are looking good, though. An extra point for Ferrari will put an extra finger on that trophy as they clasp around it, and will only mean they need to score 2 points in the race. Nicolas Longuet fastest, and only 11 thousandths separate him and his teammate. It's 0.05 of a second between the top 4, all in contention, of course, for the Constructors' Championship between those two top teams, and that is exactly what those teams will want. Not only for the constructors, but also for the drivers. Freddie has Josh to back him up. Barry has Nicholas. Who is going to come out on top? We will find out later on. In the drop zone, though, Patrick Schipos in Alpine, Tom Manley and Jed Norgrove for AlphaTauri, Ulash Ozildirim in the Haas, and the two-time champion, Jarno Opmeer, unfortunately out in Q2. But he gets to speak to Claire Cottingham now.
Jarno, not exactly what you were after out there, I'm sure. Just talk us through what happened.
Yeah, Q1 was already quite a struggle. To be fair, my last Q2 run was quite clean, but yeah, still having screen freezes, PC issues. And yeah, it's just really hard to hook up a lap like this. So yeah, the staff changed monitor cables, SSD this morning. But yeah, I still have the exact same issues, and now I also got monitor issues. So we went backwards compared to yesterday, so it's not ideal, but. Yeah, the Drivers' Championship is over anyway. We can still get P2 in the Constructors if we get a really good race. So we can do still well from P11 on Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi usually quite a good track to overtake. So yeah, we'll see what happens in the race.
It is a good one to overtake, though.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of tire offset, softest compounds available, and a lot of mechanical grip sections. So if you're on fresher tires, you've got a big advantage. And yeah, also big undercuts from lots of teams coming for sure. Lots of games are going to be played probably. And yeah, as I said, we are not really in a massive fight. We can still get P2 in the Constructors if we get a really good race. But yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see and try our best. So.
King of strategy might come out though, however. You like to throw a different strategy in, and most of the time it tends to work out.
Yeah, as I said, Abu Dhabi has a lot of different strategies available. You can go really aggressive on undercut, or you can go really long, and yeah, the end race time is quite similar. So that's going to be very interesting. But yeah, we'll see also with the games a lot of teams are going to play. So.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Right. I think it's time to find out who is going to be on pole position for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix final, who will become champion in a few hours' time.
Thank you very much, Claire. Yes, indeed. It all comes down to Q3, and all our championship protagonists are going to be looking to take pole here at Yas Marina. It really is going to be a delectable feast. I can't wait. Jarno Opmeer speaking candidly, he's absolutely right. Strategy can prevail on the day.
Yeah, I mean, we see it so many times from Jarno Opmeer, don't we?
Yes.
You know, he's not a qualifier. He's not a qualifying driver. And do you know what? If he sorted out his qualifying, he could be, you know, wiping the floor with the rest of this grid, because his race IQ is so high. You know, the way he's able to pick out those strategies, but also place the car in the right places to work his way back up through the grid. And his race pace is extortionate. So if he manages to sort out those qualities, which we have seen in the past, Silverstone, for example, you know, right up at the front, got the grid penalty, dropped down a 4th, but was still able to win the race. He just needs to sort out the qualifying. But it is so difficult because it is such fine margins amongst this grid that you're looking at trying to gain 0.5 of a second between the two drivers. So, but still, you know, let's see what he can do later on in race day. Q3 is currently underway, but no drivers going out on track at the moment. Nevertheless, actually, we've got some movement. It is Daniel Beresnay, and also the Ferraris are out on track.
Yeah, Lucas Blakely also heading out too. And it is now down to this, to decide pole position. And going the other end of things, Aston Martin, John Evans, back again into Q3. This is not the first time he's done this. And I must say, qualifies exceptionally well. Different from Jarno. He's a better qualifier, John Evans, but not necessarily as good in race trim.
Yeah, well, let's see what he can do. Obviously, it's fantastic to get yourself right up in the mix in Q2 to get into Q3. But then if you can't back it up in that top 10 shootout and you start P10, then what really is the difference between qualifying in that 10th position and getting knocked out in P11 for Q2? You know, it's only one place difference. It's still a really good starting place, of course, P11 and P12, because you're on the cusp of those top 10 and that points position. But for John Evans to be looking to bring it home, kind of like Simon Weigang has been doing over the last couple of days. You know, we've seen fantastic qualifying performances from Simon. He's now replaced Simon for this race today. Let's see if he can pull it out the bag. Look, Lucas Blakely, though, he's a driver who's had so much misfortune so far this season. How good would it be for him to come out on top and say, do you know what? This season is in the bin. Let's throw it away, but watch out for me when we come back next season.
It's had his moments where he has gone close. We look back at Spa when he and his former teammate Barry Brumand were fighting it out, heading through Sector 3 on the final lap. Through Blanchimont they went, through Bus Stop. It was Barry who prevailed on the day, but it's important to note Lucas was leading that final lap, and he also had his chance at Kota where he did take pole position. But nevertheless, back here again. Might have a chance at pole this time at Yas Marina. Hayden, he's heading in towards turn 1. Take it away.
Look at how close he got there on the run down to turn 1, scraping pretty much along the barrier to open up the corner, both wheels either side of the curb, and he does it once again as he rises over the crest through turn 3. Now back downhill, brake at the 50-meter board and keep it nice and tight for a late apex, kind of where that bollard is on the outside. Go down a third, back up through the gears now, and just prepare yourself for this chicane. DRS wide open. Of course, the ERS is on hot lap mode. Get the car positioned so you're ready for where the track slightly moves over to the left side. Now, the McLaren go for a different strategy when it's taking those curves into the chicane. Drop it down into third. Nice and easy on the throttle, full throttle now into 4th gear, 5th gear, rise back through it. DRS wide open, nice and tight as the straight kind of curves slightly to the left-hand side, but get yourself over to the right and braking after the 50-meter board and absolutely chuck it in to this double left-handed corner. 5th gear through there, back on the throttle, and now get the car prepared for the hotel section. Car over to the left-hand side, drop it down to the gears to 4th at the apex. Car back over to the right slightly and chuck it in, but do not understeer and invalidate your lap time through this sector right now. On the white line from Lucas Blakely, nice and tight through there, flat out through the right-hander, onto the brakes into the final corner, kiss the apex on the inside, extend the track but not too much, cross the line, and it is a great lap time of a 1:21.2.
Fantastic lap from Lucas Blakely to kick things off. Obviously, we'll look to raise the bar as he makes his way to the session. In comes Danny Berejnay, returning after Jay Benham took the wheel yesterday. 1:21.133 for Berejnay. In comes Nicolas Longuet, who now goes to the top for Ferrari, a position they're so used to, and this is something they're used to, a 1-2 right now. Butcher into 4th. We've got John Evans, who stays 6th fastest now. Josh Ito prevails ahead of him, just in behind Lucas Blakely. Ishmael Fassi, Freddie Rasmussen now goes to the top of the first 120 of this session. Fassi going 3rd fastest, but all eyes now on Thomas Ronhaar. He has got his championship competitors in 1 and 2 so far here in Q3. Can he register his name higher up the order, potentially usurping the pair into now Thomas Ronhaar? He does go fastest here in the initial stage of Q3. It's not over yet, but that's first blood if I've ever seen it.
That's what an extra set of soft tyres will do for you. Both Ronhaar and Rasmussen into the .9s. Barry, though, just shy of it, just off of those two drivers at the moment. I suspect that he did have a new set of soft tyres because he was able to save them in the first part of qualifying. But look at that. Our top 3 title contending drivers right up at the front, and we are going to get an absolute belter of a shootout when we go racing later on. Further down the order, Josh Edu, you know, he looked very strong in Q2. He just slightly messed up the final corner, it looked like. When we cut to him, it looked like he was fighting the rear end of the car. That lost him a little bit of time, and, you know, around this track in F1 sim races, especially in Q3, one small error like that can really make you drop far down the order. And he is currently sitting, you know, P9 at the moment. We talked about John Evans, strong Q2, but for Q3 so far in 10th position, so needs to make sure he goes for it in this last lap. However, he's a driver who is going to be unlikely to have had a new set of soft tyres to his name. So let's see what we can do in the final part of qualifying. It's only really maybe those top 3, top 4 drivers who would have had, certainly this guy right here, Thomas Ronhaar, he would have had a brand new set of soft tyres going for that lap. Freddie would have had it as well. But for the rest of them, there is that potential, and there is Josh Edu. Just a little bit of nerves maybe creeping in. We spoke about it yesterday, the leg movement on the brake pedal, just preparing himself as he's trying to get that focus for this qualifying session. We know he can pull out an absolute stunning lap, and I'm sure we're going to be seeing this as he hooks it all up in the final moments of Q3.
Yeah, like we said before, he was fastest here last year in qualifying. There's Barry Brumand as well, third in this classification. And a very positive start from the Ferrari outfit as well. Nicolas Longuet currently sat in 5th, but the gaps between the top two, Thomas Ronhaar, currently 38 thousandths faster than Frederick Rasmussen. Barry Brumand, obviously fastest of the 121s with a 121.015. And Ismail Fassi back again, looking like we've got some of that flavour we saw from Event 2 from Ismail Fassi. He's now back in the top 4.
Yeah, he's been a bit quiet for us on the broadcast. We've not really noticed him too much. I'm sure fans of Ismail Fassi at home have been like, talk about him. He's had a fantastic qualifying session. And he has. He's in P4 at the moment. Of course, he got to save a set of tyres in Q1 because he had a blistering lap in that first part of qualifying. Here's another driver who was impressed. You know, currently in 6th position. We'll be looking to put on a brand new set. Now, all the drivers, as they make it into Q3, they get a brand new set of soft tyres. It's only if you get to Q3 you get access to those, and then as soon as Q3 is done, you have to give those back, and you won't be able to use those for the race. So at this stage of qualifying, all of them will be selecting that new set of soft tyres, and we are going to be seeing the fastest laps as we go into the final 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, we certainly will. First out on track, we do have some activity now peeling out of the pit lane. We've got John Evans coming out. There's Danny Berejnet, and further back, the Ferraris also making their way out as well. And I tell you what, we've got a real battle on our hands here. The dying minutes here at Abu Dhabi, where we will decide pole position in a moment. All cars now making their way out onto the track. Thomas Ronhaar currently our fastest man, 1:20.910. As I said, 38,000 separates he and the Great Dane, Freddie Rasmussen, 3 times consecutively a runner-up in this championship. Back in 2018, he finished 3rd with AlphaTauri, but then joining Red Bull later on, and would then run on that consistent theme, but on the cusp of breaking 1,000 points, 1,000 career points. What an achievement that truly is. But first and foremost, it's all about the championship. And this would be a great start if he can grab that additional pole lap point.
Yeah, would help in the championship, and we're taking one step further to that 1,000 point milestone. We're taking only 7 points away from it. There was a few giggles down at the Ferrari garage, and I guess that's just what you can expect when a team is looking so good to take home the Constructors' Championship. You know, leading by 40 points, they have that luxury just to relax slightly, and that is certainly going to help them in this qualifying session. They're both very strong at the moment. You know, they were 1 and 2 in Q2. Can they put it out the bag and put it out the top in Q3? The first driver coming round the final corner to get us underway for our last laps of qualifying this season in F1 sim racing. It is the Hungarian Danny Berejnet as he prepares the lap. Uses all of the curb on the right-hand side, close to the barrier, then throw it through the first corner. Use the outside part of the circuit as well, now flat out through turn 2 and turn 3. Really hug the apex through there. Let the car just flow out wide slightly to the left. The shortest line as you run down into the hairpin. Braking at the 50-meter board. Look at the face cam in the bottom right. Look how hard Daniel Berejnet slams on that brake pedal. I'm surprised he doesn't get through a few of them in each of these sessions. DRS wide open. Now watch the face cam as he prepares for the braking zone. He kind of pulls the steering wheel into him and then unleashes the power. There it is on the brakes as Daniel Berejnet navigates now into the chicane. I'm surprised Jarno Otmir doesn't feel an earthquake every time that he's driving alongside the Hungarian driver. Now keeps it nice and tight all the way through the back straight as you now prepare yourself for this long sweeping double apex left-hander. Keep it nice and tight on the inside. He's finding time, a 10.5 improvement, which should surely have him looking at the top of the standings in this qualifying session to try and help Mercedes in their constructors bid. Nice through that right-hander. Use the camber. Now use the off-camber through this double left-hander. Nicely just about on the track limits. It's a 2/10 improvement. It's a strong lap from Daniel Berejnet.
Yeah, the Hungarian looking really smart right now. Coming out of the final corner at turn 16. He'll make his way up towards the line. Does go fastest in the initial, but we've got more cars coming through. Barry Brumand now takes top spot at 1:28.15. John Evans will not improve from P10. Nicolas Longuet, 1-2 for Ferrari for now. Ismail Fassi remains 6th place. We've got more cars coming though. Josh Ito, fastest here last year. It's 6 fast
fastest this time. Alfie Butcher up to third place. And now enter Lucas Blakely, who moves up to third as well. Freddie Rasmussen, this is the one we've been waiting for. Can he improve? No. Thomas Ronard, last but not least. Is he going to usurp the Ferraris up towards the line? He does! Thomas Ronard, fastest here at Abu Dhabi. The Dutchman on the attack.
This is huge for the championship. An extra point that now only takes him 12 points away from the Red Bull of Frederick Rasmussen. Strong performance from the Ferrari drivers as well to be second and third. Josh, once again, just had that little mistake into the last corner. As we could see him in the background coming through the final turn, the back end was squirming. It was wiggling all over the place. He was unable to keep it under control, and he just lost a slight amount of time because of that. It's Ronhaar in pole position. Barry Burman in second, followed by his teammate Nicholas Longue in third. What can they do together to not only secure the team's championship, but help Barry to take the title? It's still close between Ronhaar and Barry. You know, 4 points separating those two drivers in the championship. So if Rasmussen has a poor race, is outside contention, it's whoever takes the race win between those two drivers takes home the championship. Good qualifying session there from Daniel Beresne, lining up in 6th place. Frederick Rasmussen and his teammate Josh Edu not good in that last part in Q3, 7th and 8th. Ishmael Fassi, 9th place, and unfortunately there for John Evans, it was 10th position, invalidating, I believe, right at the end of that. And I believe Claire has got our pole position driver, Thomas Ronhaar, prepared for an interview. He's getting congratulated by all of his fellow drivers.
Indeed, yeah, you are getting congratulations forever. Barry Borman was shouting over his sim to congratulate you. That was the lap of your life. You could see how much it meant to you when you were celebrating too.
Yes, it was a brilliant lap. When I went to Sector 1, I actually PB'd my Sector 1, so heading towards the straight, I was already a 10th up on my lap pretty much, and took it a bit cautiously in the second sector because it's a very tricky chicane. And after that, it was just, pretty much bringing it home the pole position because I saw the delta only going up and up compared to Barry. And like I said, it's one of my better tracks. So to be on pole is very good and a good start to get a point as well.
I was going to say that extra point as well is so important in the championship. And not only that, Freddie isn't even in the top 5 starting. That must feel like a little bit of a weight off your shoulders too. Yeah, no, it's definitely a good start to the day. Anything can happen in the race. Like I say, my goal is to win, and what happens behind me, happens behind me. A lot of things can happen and will happen, I think, but we'll have to see. Thomas, talk to me. With everything that's gone on, the controversy, everything that you've had to put up with over the last year or so, what does it mean to you to win this championship today?
If I win the championship today, it's pretty much my dream come true. Like I say, I'll do anything I can to win the championship. I was so far behind heading towards this event. I had high hopes though. My pace looked amazing throughout the whole last month, I would say. I just have to win the race. That's the goal for myself. And like I said, whoever's behind me, whoever's behind me.
Do you feel that you have something to prove in winning it?
Well, I think I've already proved myself to many guys that I'm here to win and win only. I don't think there's anything else I need to say about that. But my goal today is to win and win only.
And talk to me about the race then. Obviously, pole position is very important. Abu Dhabi is one of the tracks that people can overtake, though. Yeah. So it's going to be an exciting one. But for you, probably very tense.
Yeah, no, it's going to be the most intense race of my life, by far. Even more chaotic than Vegas, probably, knowing the last race of the season. Like I say, anything can happen. We'll have to wait and see what's going to go on. We'll have to be cautious in the first few laps to not get damaged, certainly with the cars around me. But we'll see.
We'll see indeed. It's going to be great. And I know that your teammate is quite far down, but he said he's going to do everything to help you. Barry Borman, I'm sure, will start seeing his championship going in case something happens. I don't know. Do you feel like you've got people on your side?
First of all, my team is always behind me, doing the best they can to help me out. I'm sure Brenner will help me out this race, even though he's further down the field. He'll somehow do something to help me out eventually. But there's going to be many teams working together with each other. Obviously, that's going to be obvious. But I think the most important thing is to keep your front wing alive, to keep calm throughout the race, be very focused, and the goal is to win. And we'll have to wait and see.
It's exciting. I can't wait. You're going to go and relax for a little bit now?
Yeah, no, I'm going to probably grab something to eat, and we'll have to see in a second.
Go celebrate, go get something to eat, go relax. It's not long until the race gets underway. Ariana.
Thank you very much, Claire. Lovely to hear from Thomas there. This is so exciting because Thomas has got that pole. We can see him having a hug from some of the other drivers, everyone congratulating him. And the championship is still very much alive. Ferrari 2-3. They're looking strong. It may be Thomas on pole, but they're still looking mighty.
Yeah, that's a big problem, I think, for Thomas Ronhaar, is that he has two drivers in the same team right up behind him. Now, we've seen over the last 2 days how well they kind of work with each other in that initial phase of the race, but then it's all, out war in those final stages of the race to try and get those track positions. And we've said it, if Freddie Rasmussen finishes in the position that he is at the moment, or a little bit further down and outside the points, it's whoever gets the race win between Barry and Thomas Ronhaar will take home the championship, because there's only 4 points separating those two drivers. It's going to make it very, very tense. I'm excited to get racing later on.
I am excited too, and we can hear from Barry right now because he is with Claire.
Yes, I have got Barry alongside me. Oh, so close, just not quite at the end there. Still everything to play for, though, in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, for sure. It's the last race of the season. It's going to be chaotic for sure. But I'm happy with the quali. I mean, I had so many screen freezes in that quali, but it's part of the LAN anyway. In the last sector, I lost so much lap time. I think I was like 130 off my PB in the last sector, which is not ideal. But I think I was on a really good lap. Like I was nearly 2/10 up to 0-1 before last sector. So yeah, I didn't make a mistake. But I'm still happy. P2, P3, still all to play for. GG to Thomas. We knew he's really quick in Abu Dhabi, and congrats to him. He did an amazing job.
It was the first thing you did as well. You just got up and stood over your rig and you shouted over to him, congratulations. This is the environment in LAN, isn't it? I mean, it's all really tough when you're on your sim and you're fighting it out on track, but you get to walk over and just say congratulations to people. I mean, everyone is human.
Yeah, of course, massive respect. I think all the drivers here are really talented, and I think I personally have huge respect for Thomas, really talented driver. Always pleasure to share track with him.
So let's talk about the race. I know you just touched on it briefly then. What can you do to take this championship?
I don't know. I need to speak to the team. I don't want to predict anything, but I would just speak to the team and let's see, all to play for.
Classic you, don't want to predict anything, don't want to talk about it, don't want to talk until it happens. No. But there is a chance out there that you could be champion by the end of today. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to put it in my brain. I don't want to think about it. Okay, let's not talk about it. Okay, so end of the season, how are you feeling that this final event has gone? It was your day yesterday, 2 wins, and now the season's coming to an end. You must be pretty happy because there is a little thing called the Constructors' Championship that you might be wrapping up as well.
Yeah. Yesterday I couldn't sleep. But then maybe I wish there was one more races so I could just get the driver championship for sure. But no, in general, this season, I think, I don't know if you remember, I had, I think, 3 races with 0 points and 1 races with 1 point. I had 4, after first 4 races, I had 12 points. And look at where I am now. I'm super proud of myself as well, I have to say, and the team. Like, it's been an amazing season. I'm sure after this quali and race or after today, I'm probably going to miss it.
Last time you said to me when you won, you went off and called your dad. Have you called your dad? What did he say last night?
Yeah, he said it. He said we were speaking about driver championship, like a little bit, and he said to me, "Don't even think about it. Even if you don't do it, even if you don't win it, you still did amazing, and you should be proud of yourself." So I will do it.
Like father, like son. Just don't think about it until it's all done. Barry, congratulations. Still, it's a good place to start. Thank you so much for joining us. Guys, back to you.
Thank you very much. Oh, Barry is such a sweetheart. Always lovely to hear from him. And Marcel, it's lovely to hear from you too. You've got some analysis for us. What stood out to you?
Ferrari again, but Thomas. And I was surprised that Red Bull was actually that weak in the end. I mean, like with Red Bull, they struggle a little bit with the pace. And we have a comparison here between the fast lap of Thomas Ronhaar, the pole lap on the left, and Frederick Rasmussen's 9.4 on the right. So it's nearly a 2/10 difference. And Thomas just nailed this completely again. I don't know how he found that time. I think from what I've heard from most of the drivers, Thomas is like crazy quick. in the final sector. Like, nobody understands what he's doing there. I think maybe he has some shares of the hotel, or I don't know why he's so quick. Maybe he has different tarmac, I don't know, but the guy is just on it every single year in Abu Dhabi. And you can also see different lines here under braking. Thomas over the curb, Fred in order with that, he's opening the line a little bit more, but also it's a bit more bumpy. And at this stage, Thomas is slightly ahead. I think Freddy again showing what we could see in the statistics earlier, that he's not the fastest driver this year, but he's still super consistent, and in some tracks he's always there. But in overall the raw pace, I think on 23, on F1 23 for Freddy was not his strongest point. And you can see also here, Thomas actually opening up the line more, which is usually Freddy's strength, and then here they are nearly side by side in terms of where they are on the track. But I think Thomas is going to gain a lot in the final corner as well. Under braking, yeah, he's super on the limit, early on the power, and gets it done. So perfect left from Thomas. And with that, if the championship would be decided by the qualifying results, it would be done now. If we have the same results in the race as in qualifying, Thomas Ronner is going to be the champion. And that would mean Red Bull would lose out on the constructors and the drivers in one event, even though they look like they're going to dominate for the rest of the year.
That would be absolutely insane if that is how it ends up. I mean, that would be a real change of events. Let me just get a quick word on Freddie, because you mentioned that he's not the fastest driver, it looks like, this season. Not where he would want to be, given where his competitors are.
No, because you've effectively got yourself a barrier between you and your title competitors, because you've got at the head of the field Thomas Ronner, Buremand also sharing the front row of the grid. It's truly fascinating. I mean, Freddie's going to have to put a serious shift in, much like he did in that Vegas and Qatar race yesterday, but it's going to be tough. I mean, all well and good, he could get 1,000 career points here today, but whether he's happy about it or not is a total other matter. So I'm intrigued, and I think, I hate to say it, I think they could be up against it.
Oh, gosh. This gets me excited for the race. We are going to have a look at the starting grid now to see how it all lines up for that final race in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, from back to front, first and foremost, the Chilean. Fabrizio Donoso starting from 20th place with Ruben Pedreño in 19th for Alpine. Still Aston Martin and Alpine going at it. Wilson Hughes in 18th for McLaren. Alvaro Carreton in 17th place. We then move up to 16th. Brendan Lee just missing out on Q2. Patrick Schipos in 15th for Alpine. Jed Norgrove 14th with his teammate Tom Manley in 13th. AlphaTauri sharing the same row. Moving on up, Ulash Ozyodrim so close to getting into the top 10 in Q2. Jarno Opmeer also doing the same, denied at the very last moment by Josh Ido. John Evans, an impressive qualifying performance for Aston Martin. They could get some big points in their battle against Alpine. He starts 10th. Ishmael Fassi in 9th place. In 8th spot, it's Josh Ido alongside his teammate Frederick Rasmussen. Surely they have to work together to pull something out of the bag. Daniel Berejnay in 6th with Alfie Butcher. Impressive again in his rookie season, 5th fastest. Moving on up into 4th, Lucas Blakely back with a bang, our reigning champion on the 2nd row, alongside Nicolas Longuet for Ferrari in 3rd. We then move to the front, and look at this. 2 championship competitors bound together. It's Barry Burman in 2nd. Thomas Ronner beats him this time, as opposed to what happened last time at Losail. Ronner on pole position for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Setting us up for an absolute battle, and it is mere hours before we go racing in Abu Dhabi and we crown our champion. We're going to have a short break. You do not want to miss things when they come back, so do not go too far. When we come back, we'll be racing for one last time in Abu Dhabi, and by the end of it, we will have our champion. Make sure to join us.
Don't miss it.